Hey guys, Coach Keith Keppner here, and I'm going to go through and review 3 different boxing shorts or videos that I saw on Instagram. And to be clear, there's a lot of great, wonderful information out there, and even the people I'm reviewing, they have great, wonderful information out there. But boxing is an art form, and there's a lot of different opinions. It's a philosophy in a sense, and I want to use it as an educational opportunity. It's not me calling them out or putting them down and saying they're garbage and don't listen to them. I just want to add my coach perspective. Now, why should you listen to me? I've been a professional and amateur boxing coach for going on about 15 years. I've built plenty of people from complete zero, never putting on a pair of boxing gloves before, and brought them to elite levels, which is very important to be able to do because a lot of coaches or some coaches can take someone that's already been built up and hop aboard a train that's already going. But to get the train going is the hard part. Then I was coached by my father in boxing in the United States and Mexico. My father's a professional boxing coach for multiple decades, and he was mentored by Chuck Bodak as a fighter. He fought in the CYO in Chicago, and he also coached and mentored under Chuck Bodak as a coach. Bodak worked with over 50 world champions, and he was the Olympic coach for Muhammad Ali. All right, so let's get into it. Instagram boxing. And again, educational purposes, guys, I'm not saying these people are dumb or anything else like that. I'm just using it as a way to share thoughts and opinions and help you up your game and have some fun in the process. First one.
People tell you not to slip on the inside of a punch.
Yeah, that's true. People say don't slip on the inside of the punch, and it's not really, it's not a solid black and white rule. It's a piece of advice, which advice can be helpful, or guidance can be helpful, but it's not all or nothing, like you're going to get knocked out. Anyone that tells you that is full of it, because you can slip to the inside and the outside of a jab, you can slip to the inside and the outside of a right hand, and you can be okay. But now, if you start to not be okay, you need to be able to adjust for it and know the reasons why you're not okay. Typically with a jab is more of a straight punch, so therefore you can slip either way on it, because most people don't loop and arc their jabs. Now, with the right hand though, people do tend to arc it, and they tend to arc it in the way in which you slip if you slip to the inside of it, unless you step inside with the slip or are ready to pull out of it or go deep enough. But habits and unpredictability are very important in boxing. Dialing into people's habits and tendencies and changing up your habits and tendencies to be unpredictable. Slipping the inside of a jab is a wonderful thing because it will allow you to shoot a very fast jab off of that, as well as a hook and other punches, and it's not going to make you just automatically get knocked out by a right hand like people say. Let's see what he has to say.
People say, oh, you get hit by the right hand. That's not true. It depends on where my feet are.
It depends on where your feet are. No, it largely depends on what you do, right? So you can slip to the inside of whatever or do anything you want, and if you're ready defensively afterwards, you can be fine. Or if you mount the proper offense.
If I want to slip on the inside, my foot has to be inside of his feet. Now,
before you start worrying about exactly where your feet are before you slip a certain way, realize that this is a standard position to be in front of somebody. And from this in front of someone in position, you can slip either way. It just depends what you do afterwards or what your tendency is, because you can slip to the way he's going to say and get hit by a right hand all day long.
My foot's on the inside of his feet and he throws this jab. I slip on the inside, and if he was to throw a two, it's going to go right over my head.
Okay, so the assumption is that he can't throw his right hand 6 inches. Let's just steel man him 8 inches over to his right, to the boxer's right that's throwing to his left. You guys that have experience, would you say this is true? And I'm not saying meaning the concept of slipping out of a punch is wrong and incorrect. It obviously works. But if you're just sitting over there, can someone hit you with the right hand? Yes, they can hit you with the right uppercut. They can hit you with the straight right hand. They can just gauge it a little bit to the side, and that's it. I've had plenty of people get hit by that. I've been hit by it. I've hit people by it. All right? Now, of course, to steelman his argument, a lot of times people throw a 1 and a 2 together. Like they're just kind of blended together very fast. Doo-doo. And the 2 is really already set on where it's going as the 1 is going. So therefore, you actually could slip 2 punches with one head movement and end up in this exact place and get the left hook or whatever. But it's not going to be so dependent on your feet if you just have generally basic feet position. There's nothing magic about this foot position that's somehow going to make it so they can't get hit with the right hand. If you box against anyone that's any good, they're still going to hit you with the right hand if you just keep on slipping over there and if they pick up on it.
But anyways, I want him to, because I'm going to hit his liver. So I'm here. I want to make sure my head's on the outside of his shoulder. I could throw an uppercut, I can throw a hook, I can go to his body. Now if I want to slip to my right,
then you got to reset up your stance and everything else. Come on, bro. It's a lot to think about to just do some things.
I want my feet to be lined up with his feet.
Now, granted, from this position, yes, you are further away from the right hand, so it's going to be a little bit, maybe safer, you could say, and it could make for an easier exit. Let's say you slip to the side, to your right side, and then spin or pivot on your lead foot around, creating an angle. Very, very true. But you can slip either way with that previous feet position. You can slip to your right or slip to your left. And as long as you're keeping other things in mind and also making a habit of coming back after your head movement with a punch or offense, then you're good.
So it all depends where my feet are lined up. If I wanted to make this into a drill, he would be moving around.
Now notice in this drill, he only demonstrates one of the two because one of the two is your standard position you end up in. It's fairly hard to end up in the other position. You can end up there, but it's going to be a little more clunky. And so therefore, the more clunky something is, the less applicable it is to most people.
And throwing a jab,
Yep,
and I'm
that's
just
your
throwing
standard.
punches based off where my feet
And off of that foot position,
are.
he could also slip to his right side and come back with the right hand. All right? There's things like timing. There's things, again, patterns that are more important to consider than where your feet are in relation to what he's talking about,
Boom.
in my
Okay.
opinion. Yeah, they cut it before they show the right side because it's kind of a funky one to get to because the guy's going to be adjusting to you over and over again. All right, so that's video one. Let's go to the next one. And again, this is all just educational purposes. I'm not trying to trash.
One secret little technique that I implemented got rid of my jab fatigue completely.
All right, so one secret technique got rid of his jab fatigue completely.
Secret little technique that I implemented got rid of my jab fatigue completely.
All right, so before you talk, okay, let's go.
And in this video, I'm going to break down how you can do that. Why does your jab actually get fatigued?
Okay, so the reason why your jab gets fatigued, two reasons. One is you're not used to it. You're newer to boxing. Even if you've been boxing for 8 months, 10 months, 12 months, 2 years, you are newer to boxing. And you haven't made a discipline of throwing enough jabs and practicing the jab. And then the second one is learning how to relax to your maximum ability with the jab while also delivering it hard. All right? Position is a factor, which he's going to get into, but it's a far third factor. Number one. Number two is building up the muscular endurance. And number two is the technique of throwing loosely while also throwing hard, meaning squeezing at the proper time and not having muscle tension when it's unnecessary. But let's hear what he has to say.
It's because there's too much tension and pressure going into this anterior delt front.
Okay, so the idea of tension and pressure, yes. And also, by the way, the side of your delt, there's 3 heads to the delt, and I'm forgetting what the name of the side one is, median, I guess. That gets fatigued as well when people jab because they haven't built up the endurance for it. And they might be a little bit tight. And they're tight, their trap is tight and things like that.
Muscle on your shoulder. When I throw a jab like this, all of the pressure that's put on the end of my knuckles gets transferred all into this shoulder here. There's not a lot of rigidity in my punch because all the force is being put on this tiny little shoulder muscle here. My arm isn't in line with my stance.
So your arm not being in line with your stance is what it is, or is it your arm in relation to your torso? Those are 2 different things as far as what we're talking about with fatigue. It doesn't matter how your stance is in relation to what muscles are being utilized or not utilized, or having more put on them and less put on them, when we are talking about how the arm connects to the torso.
So to get our jab super rigid, we need to get our arm from this position here onto the power line. The power line is where we stack all of our joints.
By the way, great rotation on the right hand.
Behind our knuckles. When we do that, we have way more resistance behind our knuckles. If I'm throwing a jab like this, all of that tension is here. I need to...
All right, so right from this position here, just clip that in your mind. Boom. Now if you flip it, and we go back to him showing the right hand with the power line, wherever that is. There it is. That looks pretty similar to that one, right? What do you guys think? Pretty similar. He's got a nice little rotation, and as he kind of unrotates for just a moment here.
When we do that, we have way more resistance behind our knuckles. If I'm throwing a jab like this, all of that tension is here. I need to move this final position.
And all that tension's not there. It's it's getting distributed a little differently than before.
Of my jab, so that I'm stacking not only my elbow joint, not only my shoulder joint, but
you can stop right there. Don't go anywhere further with it. Now, if we're talking about developing more power with the jab, yes, there is some factor there, but there's nothing to do with the jab fatigue factor that you're talking about.
my rear hip joint all the way into.
Like, that's a nice sided up jab. Like, brilliant. The chin could be down a little bit more. He's kind of trying to look over the shoulder a little bit. Let's put that chin a little bit more behind the shoulder.
So that weight I've got on my back foot, now I've got way more.
Yeah, like with the head popped up like that, he's like this, kind of like move his head over. No, tuck it down. Let the head concave a little bit to the right side, old school boxing style. Even better. And helps with a little bit more power because now that weight of the head is not up there. It's going to be a little bit lower, and it's going to help that shoulder protect you better from right hands.
Resistance. Okay, the resistance isn't.
Would you show me?
Okay, well, that's it for that one. Oh, and there's the next one. This next
It's one secret.
All right, so the difference is tension, learning how to relax, and building up muscular endurance. How your feet and hips are in relation to your arm and your torso. Those work together to help with producing power. Absolutely, big proponent of being sided up with the jab. But if we're talking about jab endurance and your shoulder, it's muscular endurance, number one, and then number two, it is going to be learning how to be relaxed with the jab and doing that properly. That are the important factors. Now, let's move on to the last one.
Would you show me how you throw a hook?
Yes. So as he throws the quintessential hook that you see 80% of people throw, just like this. Look at his hook, right? Also, you got to love the opened hand at the end. See that, gang? Got that open hand at the end. All right, so the palm is down. He's got an open hand at the end of the hook. Let's see how she talks about throwing the hook.
Okay. See, my coach, he always recommends that when you throw a hook, if you throw it like this, upwards, it puts less pressure on your shoulder.
Look at that, yeah, and that's true. And look at that great hook. Her elbow slightly below her fist. Her wrist is bent in slightly, so she's hitting with the knuckles, and she's squeezing at the end of her hook.
And if you ever turn pro, you'll be hitting with 8-ounce gloves, 10-ounce gloves, and that stuff really hurts. So
yeah, if you ever turn pro. Again, we have a lot of this idea that comes from amateur boxing of these different shots, and from martial arts, these different shots. Pro boxing has perfected the art of throwing powerful punches with gloves.
when you throw it, make sure that you always throw it with the
Look at that nice position.
Facing sideways instead of like that, because that instantly, you can even feel it. When you put it there, it puts pressure on your shoulder. If you do that, can you feel that? So when you're throwing, make sure you always make sure to throw it that way. That way it puts less pressure and stays the shoulder. Very nice, very nice. Perfect, perfect.
Yep, and also it scoops around even better around someone's guard. And again, if you watch all of the greatest hookers in boxing, I'm not going to tell you don't ever see a palm down hook. Like it's something that you are never going to see and I will pay you $100 if you see it. No, you can see it. It does exist. It is out there. There's many ways to do many things. But if you look at the vast majority of great hooks in boxing, particularly left hooks, but both, you're going to see it exactly like Caroline is talking about. All right, guys? Hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment below your thoughts. Love to hear them. Again, I'm not trying to bash or trash anybody. Massive respect for everybody. And I'm just doing this to help contribute. All right, guys? Now, if you want to work with me, check out my custom elite level program where I will build it out exactly for you and review your videos and everything else and analyze everything, break it down, and give you a strategic plan so that you will not only feel unstoppable, but become unstoppable in your training. Whatever's holding you back from getting to the next level. It doesn't even matter if you're just a hobbyist and you're maybe middle-aged. This type of stuff, this attention to detail, will help you up your game. This really might be what you're missing against the younger guys and things like that. And then also make sure you watch out for a lot of things coming up. Too many things to talk about. And watch the video that just popped up on the screen here because it's exactly what you need.